Good morning. Welcome to Thursday Thought with Priscilla Wilkinson. When I was a child, I used to hear my mom and other adults talk about children who were willful. In other words, children who were stubborn, children who were not obedient, who would not follow the will of their parents, who would not listen to those in authority. They called them willful. And as I've gotten older, I recognize that many of us are like that. We're very willful. We're very stubborn. We're very set in our ways. And we don't want to submit to anyone. We don't even like that word submission. But let me tell you something. I want you to really think about this. We are called to submit to the will of God. We're called to be obedient to Him. Not our will, but His. Not our way, but His. Jesus set the example for us. In John 5, verse 30, it says, I can of myself do nothing. This is Jesus speaking. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is righteous, because I do not seek my own will, but the will of the Father who sent me. See, even Jesus, He did not do His own will, but He did the will of the Father. He was obedient to God in all things. We too are called to obedience to God, to follow His will. You should be praying daily for God to lead you and to show you His will for your life. And I realize that sometimes that's really tough. Sometimes God calls us to do things that are hard, that are difficult, but we still must be obedient to His will. And once again, Jesus set the example for us. In Matthew 26:42, it says, Jesus went away a second time and He prayed, My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. In other words, Jesus didn't want to get up on that cross and suffer. If there was another way, He would have done it. But He said, not His way, but the Father's way. And that's the way we have to be. We have to seek the will of the Father and then be obedient. We can't do it in and of ourselves. I do understand that. We have to ask God to teach us. Psalm 143:10 says, Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. God, teach us to do your will. And then when Jesus gave us an example of how to pray in the Lord's Prayer, one of the things He said to pray for was that the Father's will be done. Matthew 6:10. Your kingdom come. Your will be done. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Jesus set the example that we should pray for the Father's will to be done. And finally, I've been quoting this scripture all week. Romans 12:2 says, Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. What God's will is. His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So even though you may not see it, even though you may not understand it, God's will is perfect, and it is perfect for you. We must learn to submit our ways to His, our will to His. It's all about what He is calling you to. Don't be willful and stubborn. Don't be disobedient, but submit all things to the Father. Submit your will and your way to the Father. Finally, I want you to understand something. Jesus tells us in Matthew 12:50, Whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and my sister and my mother. So, in other words, if you are in relationship with Jesus, you will do the will of the Father, because that is even what Jesus did. He set that example for us. Today, I want you to think about it. Are you willful, or do you submit your will and your way to the Father? I want us to be those like David, who said in Psalm 40, verse 8, I take joy in doing your will, my God. Do you take joy in doing the will of the Father? Have a blessed day.